So, hi everyone. First and foremost, happy Thursday. Hope you're all having a great day so far. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedules to join me here for this month's Accelerate Series webinar. And our topic for November is Power Up Your Productivity with Integration. So, our goal today is just to touch on some of the different integrations that we have with a heavy emphasis in showcasing a brand new integration that we just released about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks at this point. So that's going to be our primary focus. If you're brand new today, thanks for joining us. I have the pleasure of hosting an Accelerate Series webinar every single month. It's usually the third Thursday of the month. If it's not the third Thursday, sometimes it's the fourth, depending on how many Thursdays are in the month and holidays and things like that. As you all know, Thanksgiving is next Thursday, so thus we are doing it today. All right, so just want to thank you all for your time and your attention. If you have any questions, please use the chat feature in Zoom. I will make sure to get those answered for you. And then also I will be sending out a replay via email, probably about an hour or so after our session concludes. Okay, we are slated to go till a full hour up until 4 p.m. Eastern. We might end a little bit early today, but I'll make sure to ensure that everyone's set up for success. You know, integrations are a topic that are a little bit unique. Everybody on today's call have different tech stacks, so I'm not going to go through every single integration and how they work. An hour is not enough time to do that. Our emphasis is just to show you how Centils can save you a tremendous amount of time. And if you want to learn more about any integrations. And if you want to learn more about any integrations that we have and how they can save you time, we have resources. So I'll make sure to point out where you can find those as well. Okay, so without further ado, I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Leah Jean McHenry. I'm our Senior Manager of Customer Success here at AssetMap. I've had the pleasure of being here a little over 5.5 years and going strong onward. But I have been working in the financial technology space for over the last decade. So prior to being here at AssetMap, I used to work for a company called eMoney Advisor. So I was there for almost 5 years and then made the move over here. All of this to say, I've trained thousands of financial professionals over that 10-year period, and I do have a pretty good tap on the pulse of what's working for people and what's not. Now, if you ever want to work one-on-one, you're welcome to reach out to our support team to try to book time with me, or of course, you're welcome to work with our support team because everybody on our team has been at AssetMap a long time and is more than well equipped to assist you with the questions that you may have. So this is going to be our agenda. In general, I'm just going to do an integrations general overview. Like I said, I'm not going to walk through every single integration. There's not enough time to do that. Every integration is not going to be applicable to every single person on this call. The goal is for me to show you where integrations live, where you can learn more about them, where you can find user guides to learn setup instructions and how they work. I'll also provide you to where you can go to schedule time with our team. And the big thing that I want to cover on today's call is to showcase our brand new eMoney integration. So many of you that have been on our platform for some time, you may have been some of the contenders that were asking us for an integration with eMoney. We did it. It's very exciting. I worked there a long time. eMoney is a great tool. Many of my friends still work at eMoney. So it's really exciting to see eMoney integrate with AssetMap. And for the first time ever, you can push households and all that, extensive data that you may have in eMoney to push into AssetMap to create households directly here. Now, big question that continues to come up is there ever going to be an instance where we can push a household from AssetMap to eMoney? That is something that our product team is looking into and potentially could be something that we release as like an integration enhancement in the future. Okay, but as of today, it's one way. It pushes from eMoney into AssetMap. Now, as always, I'll always point you to support and resources where you can go to find continued help. And then, of course, if you have any questions, please use the chat feature and I'll make sure to get those answered. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. What I'd like to do today is first talk about where integrations live. So if you're interested to see our full suite of integrations, I'll flip to a slide here. Here's every single integration that we currently have available, Okay, you'll see them up on the screen. Now I put 2 down in the bottom corners because they may not be applicable to everyone. Salesforce is a unique custom built integration that we built with one of our largest enterprises. Many of you that might be using Salesforce, you know Salesforce is a beast, and it's usually that you have your own custom version of it. So we don't have like just a general integration with Salesforce. But if you are a part of an enterprise or there's potential for your company to grow into an enterprise, that potentially could be a conversation that we look into to see if there's maybe a way for us to build an integration for you. But again, this is assuming that you have like several people within your company using AssetMap. Okay, down on the bottom right is also our planner integration. Based on my knowledge, I believe most of the folks that are using our planner integration are those that are our global partners. So folks that are based out of the United States that are currently using our platform, but may be applicable to the group. So I did put that on here. Okay. Starting from the top, you can see we have a number of incredible integrations with very notable, partners out in this industry. Okay. Most of our integrations are going to be one way, meaning that they push from that institution into AssetMap. Okay. There are a couple integrations that are two-way. Specifically, I know with MoneyGuide Pro, you can push a household from AssetMap into MoneyGuide Pro, and I know with Precise FP, it's a two-way integration as well. While we're here, I will address with the group that when you go into AssetMap to view our integration list, you're going to notice that you're not going to see MoneyGuide Pro and you're not going to see Precise FP. That's because these two integrations are what we call an inbound integration, meaning that they are owned and facilitated by those institutions. So Precise FP's integration to AssetMap lives within Precise FP, same thing for MoneyGuide Pro. Okay, but we do have resources to guide you, and I'll show you where you can find those in just a moment. Okay. If you would like to see an integration for something that you don't see listed on this screen, you are more than welcome to submit that feedback to our customer support team, and we can take that and submit that directly to our product team. I can also show you where in app you can submit that if you want to do it directly yourself. All right, so let's go ahead and do that without further ado. When you're logged into AssetMap, on the upper right in your main menu is a little section called Feedback. Feedback goes directly to our product team. So if there's ever like a feature enhancement or a new feature, or you'd like the platform potentially to do something different, or there's an integration you'd like to see in the future, you should be writing that down and submitting it as feedback. Now, I'm the disclaimer queen, so I cannot promise you that any suggestions or feedback that you give are in fact going to be put into, our roadmap and come to fruition. I cannot promise that. I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I cannot. But I will say that a lot of the features and enhancements and integrations that we have been successful in implementing and releasing have come from direct feedback from our users. So never say never. I can't ever make a promise that in fact what you suggest or what you provide as feedback will be implemented. But what I can promise you is that when you get that submitted, it is going to be looked over by our product team, and it will be taken into consideration as we examine any and all feedback that come in. Okay, so just be mindful of that. Now, when you log into AssetMap and you go to click add a household, okay, there are 3 methods for adding households. Many of you have been on the platform for a long time. I recognize a lot of the names in this list. Okay, so I don't have to tell you that. I know you do. There are a few people here that might be new. So if you are just starting out, remember, you have to choose a method. How do you want to get the household added? Okay. For your existing clients, people you've been working with for a long time, I always say if you have data stored in other institutions, try using integrations. Why? It's a huge time saver. We can import a household directly from Redtail to create the household in AssetMap. And Redtail is a phenomenal integration because it not only pushes over the household members and their contact info, it also pushes over their account information if you want it to. Okay. So I'm using that as a light example. We'll go through the full list in just a moment. Okay. The other option is if you don't have any integrations currently with the ones that we have in our list, then for your existing clients, I do typically say you likely have all their information saved somewhere, either another program that we don't have an integration built with, maybe you have a spreadsheet. Okay, fine. I do think that for our existing clients, it means more if we take the liberty of building out their asset maps and we communicate and share that with them. Okay, because if you all recall, our Discovery Fact Finder is a digital link that you can send to a lead, a prospect. They fill out the series of questions, they click all done. It adds a brand new household and asset map. Okay, so if you have a new client, a lead, a prospect, and you want to onboard them through Discovery, you must start there first. Because, ladies and gentlemen, once the household is built, you can always attach an integration to the household at a later date. Once the household is built, you can always manually add things that you need to do later. So even though today's webinar is about leveraging integrations to save you time, I think I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't cover the proper process that you should be following. And this is what I want you to take away. If you have a prospect, okay, let's say you're using eMoney, you're using Wealthbox, okay, two different examples. Okay, if I have a brand new prospect and I don't really have any data for them right now in Wealthbox other than like just some basic contact information, I don't have all their details in eMoney yet. Okay, well, this is a brand new prospect or a new client. Why don't you onboard them using Asset Maps Discovery Fact Finder first, right? They get a blank digital fact finder. The fact finder should take them less than 10-15 minutes. They fill it out. They click all done. It adds the household and asset map. Then, as your relationship progresses and you add more in Wealthbox and you add more in eMoney, you can attach Wealthbox and eMoney to that existing household and asset map so that you can pull over accounts from eMoney and pull over their contact information from Wealthbox. Okay? What you cannot do is I cannot import a household from, say, Nitrogen to create the household and asset map and then try to send those people through Discovery, because Discovery is a blank digital fact finder. There's no way to like pre-fill out Discovery to say, hey, take a look at what I've filled out for you, add what's missing. That's not how Discovery works as of today. Discovery is a blank digital fact finder. You send it to a lead, a prospect, they fill out the questions, it adds the household and asset map. So I don't mean to, beat a dead horse here. I actually hate that terminology. I need to stop saying that, okay? Because I just love animals too much. So we're just going to change that, okay? I don't mean to continue to drill this down, but I think it's very important to set you all up for success. If you want to onboard someone through Asset Maps Digital Fact Finder, which is Discovery, you must start there first. Once the household is added, you may then add things manually that you need to. You may attach an integration at a later date. Okay, so let's just be very clear about that. Now, when you first click into integrations, for a lot of you, this section might be completely blank. The only reason I have these 8 integrations listed are because these are the integrations that I have enabled in Asset Map. Okay, so if you're brand new or you're not using integrations right now, this section is probably going to be blank. All you have to do is click Manage Integrations on the upper right. That'll take you to our full list of integrations. This is where you're going to come to activate the ones that you want to use. You can also access this section at any time by clicking your main menu on the upper right and coming to integrations. That's just another way to get there, okay? Step number 1 is you have to enable the integrations that you want to use, okay? You have to activate them, turn them on, log in with your credentials, take the steps necessary to get it enabled. You enable it one time, and then from that point moving forward, you should be able to use it freely, okay? Now, like with everything, I always joke that aggregation can be a bit aggravating at times, okay? But listen, I think for those of us that have been in this industry long enough, we know it to be true. It doesn't matter what tool, what program you're using, aggregation can sometimes have flaws. It's fine. It's just part of the nature. Lucky for us, we really don't run into aggregation trouble with our integrations very often. And occasionally, if we do, we have troubleshooting techniques to help you get things solved. And if it's a bigger issue, then we get our product team involved and we work diligently to fix it, okay? But when it comes to integrations, you first have to activate the ones that you want to use. Now, this is our full list. It's listed alphabetically, okay? And so you'll see those things listed here, okay? Again, for MoneyGuide Pro, there is no button to activate it here because you actually have to activate it directly from, okay, their program, okay? So if you click Learn More, it actually defaults you to our helpful support resource, which is going to show you how you can leverage these integrations, which Hey, okay, special announcement for you. I was going to announce this at the end today. We are currently working on our next integration, which is going to be with Jump AI, which is very exciting. That is coming soon. I don't have an exact release date for you. We're hoping to get that finished and wrapped up before the end of the year, do some testing early in the next year. So I would say by quarter 1 of next year, that's going to be our goal in terms of getting that released, hopefully sometime in January. Okay, I don't have an exact date for you, but with a lot of these different AI note takers and things like that are coming out in the industry, there's definitely been a high level amounts, rather, there's been a lot of requests. And so we're working on our first integration with Jump AI. So just know that that's coming there too. Okay. Now, all you have to do is activate those integrations. So you can see I've done that. I'm not going to activate any live in front of you because I don't want you to see all of my credentials and things like that. But the activation process for most of our integrations is pretty seamless. You'll click activate, and I would say 9 out of 10 times you're just typing in your credentials or your login creds for that particular institution. Just want to verify that you in fact have an account, and then it should get linked up. Okay. Now, enabling an integration is just step number 1. Okay. And there's no way to say, hey, I want to enable this integration, pull over all my households from it. That functionality does not exist as of today. Okay. And I think honestly, it's by design. And I prefer it that way because I really think like you could have several contacts and things in Black Diamond, for example, and some of those people maybe have fallen off and you're not even going to want to build an asset map for them right away. Okay. So just know that step 1 is enable the integration. Step 2 is that you can then start pulling households one by one over from the different integrations that you want to. Now, when it comes to integrations, like I mentioned in the beginning today, okay, you can import a household starting from an integration to get the household created an asset map. Okay, that's option number 1. You could also add a household by onboarding someone through discovery and attaching an integration to the household later on, or maybe you manually entered a household, for an eMoney client that you had because we didn't have the eMoney integration, right? You've already done the work. You've added the household manually in Asset Map. You've done all that work. You can still attach the eMoney integration to that household at a later date. I'm going to show you both options today to get you all set up for success. Okay. Starting with a very light example. Okay. Let's say that I want to get a household created and I want to import the household using my Redtail integration. Okay, well, if I click add household and I go into integrations, I can look for Redtail here and I can click into it. Okay, anytime you click into our integrations, they all follow like a very similar theme and process. So you have to first activate the integration, then you can go into the integration itself and you can search for the household that you're looking to import. Okay, so you can use the search feature here. Sometimes if you click the magnifying glass when the search bar is empty, sometimes if you click that, depending on the integration, it might just show the full list of households potentially you could pull over. But again, you're importing one household at a time. So I actually have an existing prospect that already has some of their details in Redtail. So if I type in boss, I can go ahead and click import. Okay. So if I click import, you're going to see that it starts to think for a few seconds. And sometimes this thinking can happen for a couple seconds. So don't panic. It's doing its job if it's thinking. Okay. Should take relatively not too much time. And then all you can do is you can click view. Okay. You can see that this household did not exist before. And now the household's been created and it's pulled over the members that make up this household. Okay. This is a single individual, Marley Boss, and it pulled over the accounts. Why? Because I elected to have Redtail pull over accounts. Okay. You can decide with Redtail, do I want to pull over just contact information from Redtail or do I want to pull over contact information plus accounts? Okay. Hear me out. With a lot of our integrations, and let me go back to the full list here. We'll come back to this household in a second. So I'm going to open this in a separate tab so we don't lose our spot. Okay. In our full list of integrations, you can see we have several. Okay. Many of our integrations pull over accounts. Addepar pulls over accounts. Black Diamond pulls over contact information and financials. Okay. eMoney pulls over accounts. MoneyGuide Pro pulls over accounts. Morningstar Data and Analytics. Okay. Workstation pulls over accounts. Nitrogen pulls over accounts. Orion pulls over accounts. Redtail can pull over accounts if you choose to include financials. See this include financials under Redtail and Black Diamond. That's because like these are also kind of formal CRM systems that people use, and it's possible that you're using Black Diamond and Nitrogen. Okay. Well, you're not going to pull over Black Diamond accounts through an integration and then also pull over the same accounts through Nitrogen on a household. You're going to have duplicates. Okay. So that's where sometimes if you have a pretty robust tech stack and you do have multiple technologies within our integration, you might want to call us and have a conversation so we can ask you some intentional questions to guide you which ones you might want to use together. Now, I could disclude financials for Black Diamond, okay, and say no, when I tie Black Diamond to a household or I import a household from Black Diamond, it just pulls over the members and their contact information. Okay, and it allows me to push an asset map towards the client timeline. That's another perk of Black Diamond is you can actually push an asset map report from asset map back to the client timeline in Black Diamond. Okay, but I don't want to pull over the financials too because maybe I prefer to use Nitrogen for the financials piece. Why? Well, there's some benefits to that. Nitrogen pulls over the target and portfolio risk scores, and those risk scores can appear on the asset map. If it's more important to you that not only the accounts come over, but the risk scores too, well, that's a perfect example where we might use Black Diamond in conjunction with Nitrogen, but we're just not going to pull over financials from Black Diamond because otherwise you're going to have duplicates. Okay. I don't want to get into the weeds of that too much because there's so many different scenarios that could be the case here. So if you do have questions about it, please just reach out to our team. Okay. Now, just so that everyone is aware, Halistaplan pulls over a tax return review. Okay, so it doesn't like pull over financials and add them to a household's asset map, but it does give you a quick purview into their last tax return, and it allows you to log in there. I'll show you an example of that in just a little bit. Wealthbox does not pull over accounts as of today. And that was the decision that they have made. So just be aware that if you're using Wealthbox, Wealthbox will only ever push over the household members and their contact information. So if you're using Wealthbox and Orion, I mean, those are two integrations you could use together because Wealthbox just pulls over the members and contact information, but Orion also pulls over accounts. Okay. So if you ever have questions about that, you can reach out to our team. Now, I'm going to come back to this household for just a second. Okay. Marley Boss. If a household is connected to an integration, it'll be pretty obvious because the member will likely have this little link icon, and any accounts that are linked will also have this little small link icon. That's an indication that this is linked to an integration. When you can't remember what the integration is, you can click into the member itself. Okay, when you click into a member and they open into sidebar, okay, you have all your tabs listed here. There will always be an extra tab of whatever integration is linked. And there could be more than one because again, if you're using Black Diamond, no financials with Orion or, Redtail with no financials plus Nitrogen, it's possible that two integrations could be connected to one household. Either way, there's always going to be a tab. You can see that this is Redtail, and that is why we see this information listed here. Okay, now integrations are only as good as the data that you have stored in these different places. So this is a perfect example of this is a record in Redtail that probably needs a little bit of work. It would probably behoove me to open up this record in Redtail and add some of these missing pieces of information that I'm missing, and then I can sync the record and pull over the most up-to-date information. That's very important for this group to understand. When you either import a household using an integration completely from scratch, like I did here with Marley Boss, or if you attach an integration to an existing household, the data is never going to update automatically unless you click the resync button. And we do this intentionally because we want you to be able to look at someone's asset map, maybe save a report, right, for your records, and then click the resync button. We go back over to those institutions, we pull over the updated information, then you can see how things have changed. The only way that you can do that though is that you need to be really good about generating reports. So that's why, as a best practice from a training perspective, I always say that before you sync an integration to go over and pull the most updated values, it's probably not a bad idea to just come to this household report section and just generate a quick report. okay? Whenever you generate a report, an asset map, we save a copy of it here to your history tab. So if you're ever wondering, like, any report that you've ever generated an asset map, well, since we released report history, some of you have been on this platform for a very long time, so I can't promise you're going to have every single report you've ever generated if you generated reports before we had report history, disclaimer, right? But if I come in here and I click generate report, I can say, you know what, I just want the cover page, the asset map, and the disclosure. I'm going to click generate report. It'll open up a separate tab. I can then download that report, save it for my records. But the second that you click generate PDF, once this generate PDF is available for you to download to your computer, we also simultaneously in the history tab save a copy of that report here, and we'll date it, and you can download it 6 months from now if you want to. So here's what I'm going to recommend that you do. Okay, I just downloaded this report. Great. Now I can go back into this household asset map. I can go back in to the Redtail tab, and with a lot of our integrations in the tabs themselves, we'll always have a link for you to be able to go and log into that institution. So I can go open this record in Redtail. Okay. Hopefully my login creds work. Okay, great. It automatically opened it up. And this is where I can come edit some information. Okay. I can edit basic info. Member nickname. Maybe she goes by Mars. Okay. That's how she prefers to be addressed. Mars. Great. She's a doctor of internal medicine at, Washington Hospital. Okay, and I can actually move this info down here. So I'm updating the information in Redtail, right? Hospital, just like that. Okay, preferred pronouns, I can add that in here. Okay, I can add pronunciation, I can add designations. She's like an MD. Okay, she also has a PhD, so I could add those in. Okay, whatever the case is. I can add her middle, I can add her suffix, I can add all of that there. Okay, I can click update individual. Now that's just part of it. There's other sections that you can add, like in terms of contact card, you can click add, you could add email, phone, etc. So I can come in here and I can add her address. So maybe she lives at 225, this is her home. Okay, so I can come in here. She lives at 225 Arch Street. Okay, unit number 1321 in Philadelphia. Okay. Again, the data is only as good as the data that you're putting into these tools. So if we have to come and make updates, we're going to make it in Redtail. We're going to make sure this is clean. 19147, I think, is something similar to there. Okay, this is the primary. We can click add address. You can see it got added. Okay, we made these updates in Redtail. If I go back into Asset Map and I refresh my screen, okay, come in here, click back into Marley, go into that Redtail tab. Okay, scroll down. The only thing that automatically came over, okay, was these sections here. Now, as a good rule of thumb, I wouldn't just refresh your screen. The only reason that happened was because I'm still logged into Redtail. So as a best practice, and this is the method you should be following, you should come to that household summary page, go to your integrations tile, look for the integration that's linked, and click the sync button. And if you click sync, that's what tells the software, hey, go back into Redtail, grab the most updated information and bring it back. Okay. And with Redtail specifically, if I go back into this household, click back into this member, scroll down into the Redtail tab. Okay. That's what's going to go back over and pull that information back over. Okay. So it's not ever going to be automatic. You're going to have to click that sync button. And it's possible that you're going to have some households with multiple integrations attached, so you might be syncing more than just one. Now, as a reminder, sidebar is always available to you in the right-hand side. And when you click into a member or a financial, you work through the tabs top to bottom. You can see that this Roth IRA is also linked. If you click into it, you can see it's linked to Redtail. Why? Because there's an extra Redtail tab. You open that up, it's going to give you some important information about this. It'll also allow you to open the record in Redtail. So if you're using Black Diamond or Redtail, where it pulls over contact information and also accounts, you're going to have those in those different tabs. Okay, so something to consider there. Now, this is a perfect example where some of you might be using integrations to import a household completely from scratch. That's what I did here. But, if that's all the information we know, we might still want to uncover more for them. This is again where, from a training perspective, your natural next step should always be to apply a stencil. So this is where I can right click my mouse, click stencil, click apply. Again, I always like to come to the public library. I'll pick, one that I want to use. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and click apply. My hope is that all of you on today's call know about stencils. Okay. Stencils are an incredible tool to help you continue to fact find and fill in gaps. In my opinion, they are always a natural next step when you manually enter a household after you've onboarded someone through discovery, and even if you import a household directly from an integration to begin. Because sometimes when we import households from integrations, it doesn't tell us everything that they have because we may not have all their data. Well, this is where we can overlay a stencil on top of these things. And now we have an outline that we can put in front of these people and we can try to uncover and gather additional assets under management. Okay. Now, let me show you really quickly with the nitrogen integration. So one of the specific things about the nitrogen integration that people like is that, of course, it pulls over accounts, but it also pulls over the target and portfolio risk scores. Those risk scores will appear on any members that are linked to the integration, and as long as their risk scores have been filled out within nitrogen. And if we pull over any accounts from nitrogen and there's risk scores associated with them, they too will appear on the asset map. Now, you can click into any linked member. And again, when you click into a linked member, you can see it's linked, he's linked, okay? I can scroll down in this list and look for the nitrogen integration, okay? If I open up nitrogen and scroll down, you can see it shows the target and portfolio. It also allows me to open up this client in nitrogen or open up the portfolio in nitrogen. Okay. And the same thing happens here if I was to click into an instrument that's tied to nitrogen. I click into account number 1. Okay. I go into nitrogen. I open it up. It gives me a quick thing. So again, you don't like how some of these things are named. That could be how you have it listed in nitrogen. Okay. One thing I want to show you here is this though. Okay. In the essentials tab. Most of the time with our integration, specifically for accounts, when it pulls something over, usually the only field that is locked is the value field. So the initial reference name and location field does come over for how you have it listed in nitrogen the first time that you import. But if you were to go back into nitrogen and update the name and click sync, my understanding is it's not going to pull over those updated reference and location fields. So this is just something that you can override one time in Asset Map to clean this up, and then you're good to go moving forward. Okay, so I can come in here and I could say account ending in 8745, whatever the case is. Okay, I can add that in, and maybe this is a brokerage account, so I could name this a little bit cleaner, brokerage account. Okay, and I could say that this is nitrogen and it's ending in, okay, I can add those details and I can click update. Okay, but you can see that even though this came over from nitrogen, I still have the ability to edit the fields, okay, in the essentials tab that are not grayed out. Anything that's linked and is grayed out means you cannot make an edit. Okay, now we have file storage integrations with Box, Dropbox, and Google Drive. This is a perfect example for you to see that with this particular household, okay, I have this individual linked to Google Drive. That's why there's a Google Drive tab here. Our file storage integrations, if you want to learn more about them, I'll show you where to find them in the support center. Basically, they allow you to create folders tied to specific assets or folders tied to specific members within those file storage integrations so that you can upload documents. Maybe you allow them to upload documents depending on if they have access to it, whatever the case may be. Now, very quickly, I'm going to go back to that boss household that we imported from scratch with Redtail, and I just want you to see this here. If I go back into this household's asset map and I click on Marley, you'll see in her Essentials tab, all these fields are grayed out and there's a lock next to them. Why? Because that's information that's coming direct from Redtail. So anything from an integration that is locked means you don't have the ability to override it here. You'd have to go into that institution, make an update, and then resync the integration. Okay, so just trying to set you up for success. Now, going back to our full list of integrations, You know, some of the other integrations that are quite popular, if you are using Morningstar Advisor Workstation, that pulls over contact info and assets. It also will list the portfolio risk range and asset risk score. So that again will kind of show some additional information. Kind of, it looks a little bit different than nitrogen, but something to consider there. In addition, like I said, with Black Diamond, pulls over contact information, could pull over financials if you want it to. And there's an additional aspect there where you can actually send an asset map report back to the client timeline. I'll show you briefly in a household the Holistiplan integration. So let me just go ahead and navigate into a household here. This is a household that I've attached the Holistiplan integration, and you'll notice in a second when I open up this household and it loads, okay, it doesn't pull over any linked accounts or anything. So you'll notice for this one, it just has the linked icon next to the members. So if I open up a member, okay, minimize the tabs along here, I can look for Holistiplan and I can scroll down and it'll provide me their last tax report that's uploaded into Holistiplan. It also allows me to very quickly open up their record in Holistiplan if I need to gather some additional tax figures to facilitate some conversations. One thing I do actually want to show you very briefly regarding the nitrogen integration. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly here. Actually, I'm sorry, let me go back to the coal household. Is, like I said, the risk and target portfolio risk scores do flow through to the digital asset map. These will be on the report printout as well. But if you were to right click your mouse, you can come to toggle visibility. And if you have nitrogen enabled as an integration, there is going to be an option for you to hide the risk scores from that household's asset map and or bring them back. Okay, so depending on if you want it to be on the printout, if you don't, you have to hide it, keep it on there, it's up to you. Even if I hide those risk scores though, if I click into a member, I can always click into the nitrogen tab and see them here too. It's just maybe I don't want them constantly on this household's asset map because I don't want it to be a constant source of conversation, or maybe I do. So something to consider there. Okay. Our Orion integration is great. It also allows you to import household members, some contact information, along with account custodians. It'll bring over account types, account values. It does kind of pull over a little bit of Orion historical account information, like a value chart, and it will display within the accounts it pulls over in the Orion tab. Okay. Addepar also brings over imported information, including members, their financials, mortgage and liability. Schwab is also a great popular integration, pulls over contact information and financials. And like I said, file storage with Box, Dropbox, Google Drive. That is really to connect your file storage to a household so that you can create subfolders and upload documents and things like that to keep it really clean and concise. Now, with the remainder of our time today, I'd like to walk us through the eMoney integration start to finish, also providing you all with some best practices to set you up for success, especially with the eMoney integration and how it works today. If I click Add Household and go into integrations, you can see I've enabled my eMoney integration. All I had to do was go to Manage Integrations, look for eMoney, and activate it. All I had to do was type in my credentials to eMoney, and it logged me in. Now, again, you can import a household completely from scratch using an integration, or you can attach an integration to an already existing household. I'm going to show you both today using eMoney. Okay, starting with, let's say I have a client that I've been working with for years, the Espositos. Okay, they've been in eMoney for quite some time. I want to elevate the level of service I'm providing, and I want to proactively build them an asset map to just show that I've got this new level of service. Now, I'm already running plans and everything in eMoney, and that's great, but I really want to be able to generate an asset map report for them. And another perk of the eMoney integration is that you can actually send an asset map report to the eMoney vault for that particular household, which is really nice as well. Okay, so if I go into my eMoney integration, again, this is importing a household completely from scratch. So the household does not exist in Asset Map today. This is where I could search for that household's name, could type in the name. Again, sometimes if you just click the magnifying glass, certain integrations will just show you anyone that's available. So here you go, Marco and Antonio Esposito. Okay, I'm going to click import. If I click import, that's going to import that household from eMoney into AssetMap, creating it for the first time in AssetMap. Okay, so it's going to think for a little bit. The eMoney integration is quite comprehensive, meaning it does a really good job of going over and pulling all the incomes and the assets and the insurances and the members and all that good stuff. So sometimes it does take a second. If I click view, it's going to open up and look, I can go right to this household asset map. And honestly, look how gorgeous this is. Everything came over. But look at the titling. Does everybody see that the location field for some of these just says location with a question mark? Well, again, this is only as good as the data that you have in that institution. In this case, it's eMoney. Okay. So because in eMoney for this joint money market, I went into the advanced facts. There's a section called institution name. I filled out Fidelity. That's why it came over. Now, I could go into eMoney, okay? I could go into eMoney. I can view this record in eMoney and I could try to update the location fields for all these other things. But if I was to click the resync button, all that happens once you've connected eMoney is if you click the sync button, we go back over and pull the most updated values. So the naming criteria and the location field are never going to come over again. Okay, so this is where I would say if you import a household quickly from eMoney and you're like, dang, like all this naming criteria is messed up, I need to go into eMoney and fix it, I would say that you should probably just delete the household and asset map, go into eMoney, fix all the naming criteria, and then re-import it from scratch. Okay, now don't delete any households if you're not sure if you should. I mean, I'm giving you steps, okay? But just in case, if you're like, well, I don't know if I should, well, it's up to you. So look, I just imported this household completely from scratch. What I could do is I can click into any one of these members, look for the eMoney tab. I could proactively open up this record in eMoney, have it in a separate tab, come back into Asset Map, click the household icon here, and I can click edit, and I could just delete this household from Asset Map. The household's still right here in eMoney. But what I can now do is go into the advanced section. Specifically, I can go to the investments, probably to start, and I'm going to go through these assets, okay, and make sure that these things are properly filled out. So look, joint brokerage funds. If I click into that, you're going to go look for the institution name. Maybe this is at Schwab, okay? You need to notate that, okay? Go ahead and click save. Next, I can go into cash. Okay, what about joint checking? I can open it up, go into institution name. They're at B of A. Okay, great. Save. Okay, then I can go into the joint money market. I can check that I added something here, Fidelity. Okay, great. Then I can go into the qualified, Antonia's 401k, open it up. Institution name, held at principal. Okay, great. Add it. Scroll down, click save. Make sure that the details, how the asset name, the institution name, any money look good first. Spend the 10-15 minutes doing that first. Then you can come back into Asset Map. Okay, click Add Household, go to Integrations, go to eMoney, look for that household again. Okay, then I can go ahead and import that household. And I'm going to show you once this loads, I'll be able to open up this household, and now that naming criteria is going to come over appropriately. It's worth spending the 10-15 minutes to make sure that everything in eMoney looks clean and concise, because again, once you import the household and tie it to Asset Map, the only thing that we're going to continue to sync to bring over when you click the resync button is going to be the values of the accounts. So look, if I open up view, look how much nicer this is. Okay, I can now see that Antonia's 401k is held at principal. I can now see that their joint brokerage account is held at Schwab. Their joint checking is at B of A. Their joint money market is at Fidelity, because I did the work prior to importing this household. And I'm going to recommend that you do that if you're going to use eMoney. Okay. Now, what about attaching an integration, which, by the way, sending an asset map report, all you'd have to do is come here into the report section, and then you'll be able to send a copy of it back to the eMoney Vault. And we have instructions on that in the support center. So look, you can click the chat bubble here on the upper right. All you have to do is click search for help. This is our knowledge base. This is available 24/7. If you type in the word e-money, we're going to have resources built. You type in Red Tail, Orion, Nitrogen, you name it. We've got integration user guides. So if I come to the e-money integration, I can open up the user guide. It will give me step-by-step instructions on how to set this up, how to import a household. Okay. Again, applying a stencil can be a great way to pull that over. Okay. As of today, it's important for you to know that with e-money, entities and business interests that are in e-money are not imported into AssetMap. Same thing with trusts. We are actively working with e-money on that and hope to make that enhancement as we continue on through the weeks. Okay. Now, we also show you how you can connect the e-money integration to an existing household. I'm going to show you how to do that a little bit later on. Okay. And then also in here, it's very detailed. Okay. So you can come take a look at this, tells you what is pulled over, what's going to come over, and then ultimately how you upload this into the e-money vault. And specifically how that's done. Okay. I know how it's done, but I'm just showing you upload AssetMap report to e-money vault. You just have to be connected to a e-money in a household, come to the report section, come generate whatever report deliverable you want. Okay, so you have to click generate. Like I said, it opens in a separate tab. It'll think for a couple seconds. You can download it. I mean, you could download it and just go upload it if you wanted to, if you felt that was easier, but we have a process in place I'm going to show you. But once you generate a deliverable, again, we save a copy of it here in the history tab. Okay. And then from here, all you have to do is you be able to share it over. And again, we give you the instructions on how to do that. Okay. So you can go ahead and download it, share it over, whatever you need to do. Again, you can open this up and it'll provide you those instructions. Okay. Down at the bottom here. Keep going. Come on. Go down. Thank you. Okay. So you go to the report history. There should be the little arrow icon. You can share it over to their vault. Okay. They have to have a vault though, meaning they have to have a client portal. If they don't have a client portal, then you can't share it over to their vault. And that's why there's no arrow here, is because this particular household does not have a client portal set up over on e-money. So just want to bring that to the team's attention. Now, let me navigate to another household. Okay. This is a household that I actually onboarded using the Discovery Fact Finder. Okay, so I actually onboarded these people using the Blank Digital Fact Finder. Okay, they have since come on board as clients, and I ended up doing an e-money plan for them, right? So I got a lot of their information added into e-money, but the household already kind of exists in AssetMap. So this is a perfect example of we can attach the e-money integration to this already existing household, but you have to do it within the household itself. So this is where within the household, I'd recommend that you come to the household summary page. Okay, in the household summary page, you can scroll down and look for the integration section, and you're going to click enable. It will then take you to an area where you can search for this household. Okay, so I search for that household. You can see Jerome and Tanika. Okay, you're not just going to click import. You're not going to do that, because if I just click import, it's going to create duplicates within this household. Okay, so ultimately, what you can do, and actually I think it will not do that. So that for this one, you can just click import. So if I click import, come on. Oh my goodness. I've been having internet issues today, so I apologize. What you'd be able to do is you can come in here, look for that household, you go ahead and click import, it will load, and then it'll bring over those pieces of information here. I apologize, it's not working for me today. I have a demo account, so it's likely that someone else might be using it at the same time as me, which could be why I'm experiencing that trouble. But the point is ultimately that is how you go within a household to attach an integration. So if I also wanted to attach this integration to something other than e-money, oh, see, it finally linked, so I'll refresh my screen. There was just a delay. Okay, you can see it pulls over all the information. It came over here. Okay, and then we can kind of clean it up. Sometimes this might happen though, where it's going to create duplicates. That's okay though, because you can clean it up. You can see that this particular household is linked. So then I can click into this one if I want to, and I can delete this member because it's created duplicates here. So sometimes there might be a little bit of like initial cleanup. Like if I go like this, you can see that this is the information pulled over from e-money. So I can just come back into this one here and I could remove it off just like that. So sometimes it is a little bit of cleanup, but rest assured, like, you only have to do it one time and then you should be set up for success moving forward. Okay. Again, if you want to learn more about integrations, please check out the support center. We have user guides with step-by-step instructions. When in doubt, please just reach out to us, because at the end of the day, the most important thing is that if you have questions or concerns, that we get them answered for you. Okay. A good question came into the chat, not pertaining to integrations, but they were asking, how did you get some of these key financial figures to appear down at the bottom of this digital asset map? Well, what you do is you go to a household on the household summary page. There's a section here called key financials. You can click the the dots here, the ellipses, click edit. You can select up to 5 that appear on that summary tile that we just looked at, and you can select up to 5 that appear at the bottom of the digital asset map. Now, it's important for you to know that key financial figures are a roll-up summary of the entire household. So it's not indicative of just the 2 people or 2 things or 1 thing that you might have be featured in the bottom of the asset map. For example, if I go back to this household, okay, go back to the asset map, I might look at Jerome by himself. Well, these numbers don't change, because these numbers are going to be for every single person and entity that make up this household at all times. And that is why we kind of put this little disclaimer language below it, like these values reflect the entire household's key financial figures, not just the selected members. So something to keep in mind, okay? And while we're here, in the reports area, if you go to produce an asset map report, you can decide, do you want to include the key financial figures, the 5 at the bottom of the asset map report? You want it to be on the printout? Yes or no? You can decide that here. Okay. You do it on one household and it's universal across the board. So like if I went into this household and changed key financials, the 5 selected here and the 5 there, it would flow through to all the other households. So it's just, it will always be that for all of your households unless you choose to change it in one, and then it updates for everybody. So hopefully that answers your question. Great question coming in about any expansion potentially for Canadian users on the horizon. Obviously I know that a lot of our financial professionals that are based in Canada are using different tools and things like that. I think we're always open to discussion about that. It's just a matter of you making sure that you're submitting any integration requests that you'd like to see. So again, I want to reiterate, I would click your main menu on the upper right and I would submit that as feedback and just say, because the truth is, we do have a lot of financial advisors that are using our platform that are based in Canada. So I'm not going to say never. It's just a matter of, we just need to see an influx of people asking for that. If you've got a point of contact at that, some of these other softwares, that's always great too. One of the best things you can do is say, hey, I would like to see an integration with X. Here's someone that I know at that company that you might be able to speak to get that conversation started. And sure, maybe you don't know a contact person, and that's okay. You can still request an integration without that, but they have to be willing to have a relationship with us too, and so conversations have to start and be made that way. Okay, so in terms of next steps, I'd love to know from the team. I'm going to have you all participate in a quick poll here with me today. I just want to know, do you love Asset Map? And for those of you that do love Asset Map, if you would be willing to leave us an honest review, it does mean a lot to us, because at the end of the day, one of the best things we can do for our peers in this industry is to share about incredible tools that could be game changers in our business. If you said that you would be willing to leave a quick review, I posted the link in the chat. Okay. All you have to do is click on it and it takes you to the reputable G2 website. It looks just like this. Okay. G2 is a very reputable site that allows you to be able to leave a review. You do have to create a login. You can do it off your LinkedIn profile in seconds. It takes less than a minute to create one. It's just to ensure that you're a human being and not a robot. Okay. Because they don't want people leaving fake reviews, which is 100% fair, because nobody has time for fake reviews anyway. Okay. Other than that, in terms of next steps, please stay tuned. We will be hosting our final Accelerate series in December of next month. That's great. Can you even believe that the end of the year is coming? I can't believe we're about to move into 2026. I can't believe Thanksgiving's next week. Anyway, Next month's Accelerate Series webinar is really going to be a recap of all the things that we've released this year and where it kind of fits in the asset map process and how you can use those to be a launching off point as you succeed as you move into 2026. So, going to be a great webinar. We will promote that once we get it up on our corporate website, hopefully by Monday, end of day. For any of you that said that you would be willing to leave us a review, thank you for that. Please go ahead and use the link that I posted in the chat. Lastly, if you are somebody that wants to attend boot camp, our boot camps for 2025 have concluded. However, our first boot camp of 2026 will be taking place in the beginning of February. We know January is a very busy month, so we've elected to do boot camp in February. If you're an elite level subscriber, you get to sign up for boot camp at no cost. If you're a professional level subscriber, we've got exclusive early bird pricing going on right now. If you don't know what subscription level you are, you got to reach out to the support team because we have to look up your account and can verify it for you. Okay. If you are an elite level subscriber, you just have to get the elite level code. But we won't share it on today's call because I have to verify your subscription. Otherwise, everybody would use the code, and I can't have that, unfortunately. Okay, everybody, that's all I have for us today. If you want to, please take a moment and just share with me what you thought of today's training. It does mean a lot. This feedback goes directly to myself and the team. So this really is just more so like, did you find value in today's call? Here's a link if you want to click on the survey via the chat. You're also welcome to scan the QR code up on the screen. Other than that, that's all I have for us today. Thank you for your time, your attention, and I hope you have a wonderful and safe holiday coming up here. And please don't hesitate to reach out to our team if you need anything at all. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.